What's your name? What's your name? I'm a Kamen Rider.
What's up, everybody? It's the Quarter Guy, and it's been too long since I've done one of these. Not since the Pro Jared incident. But, I've had my reasons, whether it be laziness or something else taking its place. Speaking of which, I think it's time for me to share my thoughts on E3 this year. Overall, I'd say it was kinda meh, but there were some definite bright spots. Let's go over the conferences I actually watched. First one being the Microsoft conference, which, in all honesty, was okay, but it could have been better. There was a lot of these rapid-fire trailers that really didn't show off much, but there were some good things about them. For example, that new Bleeding Edge game looks pretty crazy. That Blair Witch game that I didn't quite expect, but looks pretty creepy. There was more on Cyberpunk featuring Keanu Reeves, who pretty much stole the show at that point. There's that new pen and paper inspired RPG called RPG Time Legend of Right. And this trailer, which looked like it had VR implications, but was actually just Flight Simulator. Not sure Flight Simulator is the kind of game you want to show off at E3 of all places, but well, Lego Star Wars drop out of nowhere. The new look at the new Dragon Ball Z RPG, which now has a name, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Ooh, Phantasy Star Online 2 finally getting localized, first on Xbox One and then on the other platforms later on. Switch version soon, please. The new Tales game, Tales of Arise. Elden Ring, which is a collaboration between George R.R. Martin and From Software. We also got more look at Gears, which I don't really care about. Forza with the new LEGO expansion. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which looks absolutely beautiful. Gears Pop, which absolutely zero people care about. Don't quote me on that. And, well, first look at Halo Infinite, which is a trailer which involved Master Chief being brought back to life from near death after being stranded for who knows how long. And a first teaser for Microsoft's next console being codenamed Project Scarlet, which basically consists of them talking about how powerful it's going to be and how it's going to be the future of gaming and all that, but this is one of those put up or shut up things, to be honest. I don't want to see a reveal like Xbox One's reveal was. All this time, I really still have no reason to buy an Xbox One. Not even the new Battletoads game, which I think looks better than a lot of people make it out to be, but yeah. Next was the Bethesda conference, and pretty much the lone bright spots of that conference were the latest look at Doom Eternal and Ghostwire Tokyo, and specifically the creative director who was plugging it, Ikumi Nakamura, who is an absolute cinnamon roll, by the way. But the rest of that was just basically them just patting themselves on the back about how great it is to work at Bethesda, and the fact that Fallout 76 is getting human NPCs, which they probably should have had from the beginning. Seriously, Fallout 76 is a dumpster fire. Then came the Square Enix conference the next day on Monday, and they did pretty good. The Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer and coverage was absolutely hype. Tifa looks amazing. So did the other characters we saw. Especially considering Sephiroth looks great. I kind of like the approach of taking the gameplay, kind of being a hybrid of the hack and slash action of Kingdom Hearts with the active time battle menu-based system of the original Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, the Guard Scorpion battle looks a whole lot better now. That battle looks a whole lot better. But a lot of Square Enix's trailers were stuff we already knew about, or was already even released, including the PC version of Octopath Traveler. But a couple of Saga games are being remade, or being remastered. Final Fantasy VIII is finally getting remastered after having to be built from the ground up because they lost the source code. And it actually looks really good. especially compared to the PS1 original. Let's see, what else was there? Well, they were plugging a lot of stuff like Dragon Quest Builders 2, Dragon Quest XI's, Crystal Chronicles, and there was also the big unveil of the Avengers project, which is known as Marvel's Avengers. And for one thing, it really needs a bit more polish before its release, because the models don't exactly look the best, and I actually want to see some gameplay soon. There wasn't really anything in the way of gameplay that was actually shown on there, so I'm still honestly kind of iffy on that. Then we get to Nintendo. A lot of people saw my reaction to that one with a lot of friends. I mean, it got more views than my latest countdown did. Please watch my latest countdown. But anyways, well, Nintendo started off with a bang. The second character on the fighter ballot, on the fighter pass has been revealed, and the leaks and the data mining were kinda true. It is character from Dragon Quest, and, well, characters actually. So basically, they showed off the Luminary from Dragon Quest XI as the main selling point of the trailer, and a great cinematic, by the way. But it turns out we've also got the characters from Dragon Quest 4, I think it was, Dragon Quest 8, and Dragon Quest 3. Yep, it was Erdrick. And honestly, the salt from some of the people who were expecting someone else was just, ugh. Some people just don't understand how big Dragon Quest is, well, not so much in the West, but in Japan. In fact, the Japanese version of the Hero trailer got, like, more views than pretty much any other character trailer in any language. What else can I say but, Poe's mad. But we also got more looks at Luigi's Mansion 3, the new Animal Crossing game, New Horizons, which is being delayed to next year so that the developers don't have to deal with crunch. Thank you, Nintendo, for understanding that much. One of the new gym leaders from Sword and Shield, and we also got to see a couple new Pokemon from that in the treehouse, including a Corgi and an Imp. Still rather upset about the whole National Dex thing, but it's not something for me that's a total game breaker, considering that the Galar Dex is probably going to be pretty huge to begin with. Though I hope they add the National Dex in a future update, or at least let us have the Pokemon from that. Please. But anyway, moving on. We're getting Trials of Mana remake, which is Seiken Densetsu 3, as well as the Mana Collection, which is already out. Cadence of Hyrule looks awesome. I've actually played a bit of it so far, and it's great. No More Heroes 3 trailer that was totally hype. I mean, with someone who didn't look like Travis at all, but sounding like Travis, but doing a full-on Kamen Rider thing, Henshin. And the action looks awesome. Looks like it's going to be even more crazy than the previous games, which is already saying a lot. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is looking pretty good. And, there was this whole sizzle reel at the end, including, oh, before we do that, Astral Chain, I'm getting that. Looks great, looks amazing. So, yeah. Right at the, oh, by the way, and also there was this new Contra game that nobody asked for or or by the looks of things, nobody really wants this new Contra. Probably because it looks like a 3D style of Contra that they've tried before and failed with, but it's looking pretty rough. Probably the low light of the Nintendo Direct, but we got a ton of hype at the end, including the reveal of the third Fighter Pass character, Banjo-Kazooie. Man, that was so amazing to see that. I mean, Microsoft said in the past that they'd be okay with letting Banjo in Smash, and we finally got it, and they made it reference the K. Rool trailer, and there are plenty of hype reactions to that one, mine included. And Grant Kirkhope doing the remix of Spiral Mountain from that, he must have been thrilled to be able to do that. In fact, I'm almost positive he was. Well, he actually said he was. So we got 3 characters revealed, 2 to go. Still hoping to see some of the characters from my list get in there. But that wasn't the end. But, yeah. Right after that, we see a trailer, and it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild, with a pretty much mummified Ganondorf. Yeah. They've spent a lot of time on that Breath of the Wild engine, and I'd be damned if they aren't going to use it more than once. There are a few things that can be improved from Breath of the Wild to make this sequel even more amazing, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about it as we get closer to it. It would have been nice to see Bayonetta 3, but I'll be happy when we see more about that. So, we had some pretty big highlights at E3 and also some pretty bad lowlights. But that's pretty much every E3. So, updates. I am beginning the editing process of my next arcade retrospective, a brief history of the Samurai Showdown series to commemorate the release of the new sequel, reboot, or whatever it is, but yeah, look forward to that soon. Please watch it. Remember, it's going to premiere on my twitch.tv first before going to YouTube, so look forward to that. And for my question of the week, who do you think won E3 this year? As always, leave your answers in the comments. Favorite comments will be featured in the next episode. Here are last episode's winners. And with that, time for the 4th wall mailbag. As always, send me your questions on the community tab posting, and I'll answer my favorites in the next episode. First question this week comes from E. Blanco, who asks, which guest character surprised you the most in any fighting game? Well, if we're counting crossovers, then I'd have to say it was Cloud's inclusion in Smash 4. I mean, Cloud is a character you normally associate with the likes of PlayStation. I mean, that's where Final Fantasy VII was originally released, until it eventually got ported to the other systems, to modern-gen consoles as well. So, the only time I'd ever seen Cloud on a Nintendo system was spin-offs and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Other than that, he's commonly associated with PlayStation, so seeing that blew me away. If you talk about games that aren't crossovers, though, I would have to say the surprise was Link from Soul Calibur 2. I mean, that was what got me interested in Soul Calibur in the first place. Obviously, Link was my main in Soul Calibur 2, my second being Talon, who would go on to be my main in later games, so that's my answer for that. Next question comes from Moon Angel Fire, who asks, what were your thoughts about the Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer? Well, I already alluded to that back a few minutes ago when I was talking about my thoughts on E3, but the trailer itself is pretty hype. The graphics have gotten a lot better. They're doing a greater job of showing off the combat, and the thing is, this is looking like a really hype remake. I'm excited for next year. Next question comes from Cure Crystal, who asks, would you like to see a Tales of character in Smash, and if so, which one do you want it to be? Well, yes, I would like to see a Tales of character get into Smash. I'd like to see another Namco rep get in the game, period. I mean, all we've got from Namco is Pac-Man, and they were co-developers of the game, for crying out loud. So, as for which Tales of character rep I'd like to see, it's down to either Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia or Yuri Lowell from Tales of Vesperia. I'd say that Yuri is more currently relevant, given the definitive edition of Tales of Vesperia was released earlier this year, but most people's introduction to this Tales series from the GameCube era was Tales of Symphonia, so... And Besides, Lloyd's a dual wielder, so we might have some interesting ways to use swords in that style as well. Tales was my introduction. I mean, Symphonia was my introduction to the Tales of series, so I'd say why not? Though, I think more likely Namco reps would come from either Tekken or Soul Calibur, those being Heihachi and Nightmare respectively. But that's just my take. Last question this week comes from Chris X, who asks, what are your thoughts of Sengoku Basara franchise getting a gacha game? Oh dear, here we go again.